Welcome back, everybody, to the Good Old Hockey Podcast. This is episode number 57. We just started the month of February. Super excited. We got some hot trades going on. And it's only going to get hotter because the trade deadline is coming up in about a month or so. Alan, speaking of which, took work off that day. So we're going to do a live stream that morning, to just ring in the trade deadline and any last minute news that we can do. We'll just be talking about hockey that Friday morning. We'll keep promoting it. But first things first, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. No complaints. Didn't really do too much. Just hung out with my girlfriend. It was pretty low key.
Nice. Hell yeah. On Friday, I had a banger of a deal. So I didn't know what to eat that night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered that I got something in the mail, and it's a Flying Pie coupon. For those of you that don't know, Flying Pie is a great pizza spot here where we live in Boise. And I looked at it. It said it expires 1/31/25, and Friday was the 31st of January. So I was like, well, I know what I'm eating tonight. So I got $10 off of a large pizza. And
that's solid.
I had myself a night. It was $15, which the pizzas are pretty pricey there. But it was a big pizza, and I had it for lunch the next 2 days leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the highlight of my weekend, honestly. What did I do Friday? Oh, went to karaoke Friday. Forgot to invite you.
I was going to say, I talked to our friend Athana's mom because she came into the
she did?
work. Yeah, we were talking. She has this adorable, healer.
Yeah.
I think it's Blue Healer. Is that his name?
Yeah. Chunk, yeah.
Adorable dog hanging out, just
cute.
Bullshitting about dogs because obviously I have the puppy now.
Yeah.
And she was like, I was talking to Athana and they wanted me to go out and sing karaoke. I've been to that place one time and I wasn't a big fan of it. And I was like, you see, you weren't a fan because I wasn't there to hang out with you the entire time. Like that one time we went to Amsterdam.
True.
Shout out to Athana's mom, Danielle. You're awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Although she didn't buy a car from me, which was kind of messed up, but
yeah, that was messed up. Can't believe that. But yeah, that was my weekend. Didn't do a whole lot. Actually, no, we didn't even play a beer league game last week. Our game got canceled. We're not even going to talk about it. We're going to move on.
Got canceled. Yeah.
Got canceled. Yeah. Yeah. We canceled it mid game.
We walked off the ice.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. We have a new, I guess, segment we can call it, but we have a phone number and I'll read it off in a second. But basically the premise of this phone number is you call, you leave your name, you leave the name of this podcast if you're calling in for it, Good Old Hockey Podcast, and you're going to leave a voicemail and we're going to listen to it. And we're going to react to it for a couple minutes afterwards. We got one in this week. We hope to get some more next week. The number is, if you have a pen down, you're listening, stop what you're doing, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. It's 20, or actually just take your phone number out, 208-994-4656. I'll put it in the description as well. But you call that number, leave your name, leave the podcast you're calling in for. So that's this one, Go to Hockey Podcast. You leave your message and we will react to it. So we're going to do that right now. And the first caller we have is AJ. So here we go. It's a minute long. Here we go.
Yeah, this is
Let me know
AJ
if you can hear it. Can you hear it?
The Good Old Hockey Podcast. I just want to say I think Alan Mopaw has some of the worst takes I've ever heard in my entire life. The Avs in better spot after getting rid of Rantanen? No, not a chance. First off, Rantanen even said if he had known he would have been traded, he would have taken a pay cut to stay with the Avs. Second off, you're comparing Martin Necas to Mikko Rantanen. Now, I am a Martin Necas fanboy, but Mikko Rantanen has been a top 5 player in the NHL for the past 3-4 years. The Canes are definitely in better position after this and will also be in a position to re-sign him. And the Canes will get a cup this year, mark my words. Alan, you suck. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right. First off,
initial thoughts. Go ahead.
I got some initial thoughts for this guy. Martin H's fanboy. That's a little sus. You have a girlfriend, bro. I know AJ personally. You have a girlfriend, bro, and you're a fanboy of a man who doesn't even know you exist. Canes aren't going to win a cup this year. Their starting goalie can't stay healthy, right?
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen. Freddie Anderson's not net. They're not winning the cup. I don't care how many goals they score.
Yeah.
Number 3, Mikko Rantanen might be a top 5 player in the NHL, right? The skill gap between him and Martin Necas is this. It's not like Pee Wee hockey and you're talking about the best player in Pee Wee hockey versus the worst. You're talking about the NHL. These guys are all sick.
Yeah. But I think also what adds to the Avalanche's who's the other player they got in that trade?
Taylor Hall went to the Canes.
No. Who did the Avalanche
Jack Drury?
Yes. Okay. That was the point where it's like, yes, you're getting rid of your big star, Mikko Rantanen, correct? But you're getting Jack Drury, who's a good roster player, and Martin Necas, who's a great, fantastic hockey player. That's where I think that the Avs are in a better spot because you can't have all these they would have 3 superstars, Makar, Rantanen, and McKinnon. If that were the case, you can't do that in today's NHL with the way these players are getting paid. You can't do that. So you have to figure it out. And I think they figured it out. And for the Hurricanes, they absolutely have to re-sign Rantanen for this trade to even be remotely work out for them. And we saw what happened with Jake Gensel last year. You add him, he walks. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard too much that Rantanen's for sure going to stay in Carolina. He has a buddy in Sebastian Aho, so I think his chances are a little higher than Gensel's were, but you got to lock him down until you can really, as a Carolina fan, boast that it's a good deal.
He said he would have taken a cap cut. First of all, what the media idea was is that he said he said he did take a cap cut at what he was saying he wanted to sign for, right? They offered him $11.5 million, something like that, and he didn't sign for that. The only reason that $11.5 million is a major cap cut is because of the Draisaitl year deal. Pardon me. I can't speak right now. I'm just mad. I got name dropped on on the internet by a guy who said he's a Martin Necas fanboy. Screw that guy. I'm going to tell him at work tomorrow.
Yeah, you should. But yeah, call in that phone number. I'll read it again. If you want your message heard, we'll react to it. The number is 208-994-4656. Call any time of the week, as long as it's before Monday. Like today, I guess, since we're recording. If it comes out Wednesday, as long as you call in before Monday, we'll react to it. We'll have it read on the podcast. Keep it clean. Just be aware that this is on the internet forever for life. So you can cuss all you want, but just be smart about your word choices, because if you say something stupid, we will rip you apart. Now, got that out of the way. All right, let's jump into it.
AJ.
So we're going to be talking.
I want you as a viewer.
Get out of here.
I'm kidding.
So yeah, a lot of trades happened this week. We'll get to those a little bit later, but I've got a couple points I want to talk about first. First thing is, this is a message for Gary Bettman, and something that came to my head. I texted Alan and I was like, this is a good conversation. I feel like we could bring it up. So, Mr. Bettman, the All-Star game, as we know, as we said last week, the All-Star game is just boring. Now, how do you make that better? Make people care? I think this Four Nations is going to be awesome, but it's not exactly an All-Star game. There's plenty of other things, like we had said. Some of these all-stars that are being named are not really all-stars. But I think it would be cool to take a page out of the NBA's playbook and introduce the Rising Stars game. So what that would be is either it's, how they do those 3-on-3s. Don't they do like one period each? They do like period 1 is Pacific versus Central, so on and so forth. So if you're doing 3 periods of that, maybe 1 period before that, you do this Rising Stars game. Now, or you could do it on skills comp night if you don't have too much time to fill it up. Maybe do it before the skills comp. I don't know. Somewhere in there, I think a Rising Star game would be cool. It'd basically be 2 teams, 3-on-3. East versus West and have only first and second year players on those teams. So as of right now, what that would look like would be Lane Hudson, Macklin Celebrini. Well, actually, I guess let's start on the West side. So you'd have Connor Bedard, Macklin Celebrini, Dustin Wolf in net, and I'm trying to think of a Brock Faber. We'll put on D for that three. On the East, you got Lane Hudson at D. You got Matvey Michikov. And there's like plenty of teams, like players that could be named. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But if you had that, a full team of first and second year players doing this Rising Star Challenge, just to see these rookies, like, be able to be out there and, they're not playing against super high NHL talent. They're playing at their own level, I think would be awesome. And just those matchups would be super cool. You don't even have to do East versus West. You could just do like a captaincy thing where, I don't know, you have two veterans coach the team or something. Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon are captains, and they pick these group of Rising Star kids. I don't know. I think it'd be cool and make a good competition, or at least just another spectacle of the All-Star game to just get change, because we see the same thing every year and that gets boring. So, Gary, if you're listening to us, implement that. Just try it. Trust us.
I think that'd be a cool idea. Before we get off the Brock Nelson topic, I want to apologize to Brock Nelson if he's watching this podcast. I re-looked. It was like maybe a day after we filmed last week.
Yeah.
Or recorded, I should say. I re-looked back at the All-Star roster from last year. Boone Jenner is much worse than Brock Nelson. And I'm sorry for calling out Brock Nelson. Boone Jenner and Cam Talbot were All-Stars last year. Nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Get the young kids out there. Get them playing against each other.
Yeah.
I feel like that is much more of an entertaining thing. Like, you don't even necessarily have to make them All-Stars. If you're still going to have have an All-Star game.
Stars. They're separate.
Exactly. Just have them be their own thing. Like, I like the idea of what you said before, like the skills comp or during.
Yeah.
I think it'd be way more entertaining.
Yeah, just a quick game of 3-on-3 hockey with these young kids doing their stuff. I think the matchups would be just crazy, and being able to see kind of those play. That's the future. Like that, those names I just named are going to be what the All-Star game is going to be in 10 years. And I say like first and second year just because you kind of could have more players to pick from with like Bedard and Celebrini playing together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it'd be cool. And NHL, you should consider it. Listen to the fans, because we're the ones that pay your bills.
Yep.
But yeah, anything else on that? Oh, actually, one thing I wanted to say about the All-Star game was I think they need to get away from this whole, every team gets a player, every team gets an All-Star. Like last year, the Sharks had no business in who'd they send? Hurdle, was it? No.
I think it was.
I don't even think it was. I thought he was hurt. I think it was someone else. Wasn't it Grant? No.
I didn't remember. I didn't watch the All-Star game last year.
Yeah.
What the hell is the point of watching the All-Star game if Boone Jenner is going to be a part of it? I'm sorry.
Exactly.
That guy was good for like half a season.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 years ago.
That's the thing. Don't do this. This is competitive sports. Don't do this participation bullshit. Like, I know that you're supposed to have, makes everyone tune in because they want to root for their player. Sure, they can be on the bench, but like it leaves off people like, I don't even think Matthew Tkachuk got selected last year because Sam Reinhart was on fire, which, deservedly so. And like even Barkov got left off on the Panthers. Like, I'm just trying to think of teams, but it's a lame thing. The All-Star game is now. And I think the Four Nations will be fun. I'm excited for it. But yeah, I just think the All-Star game needs some work if it's going to be back to what it used to be. So, I don't know, so awesome.
Just looking back, right? Boone Jenner, he had actually a pretty decent season last year. He put up 26 goals. He put up 26 goals and 19 assists in 68 games for 45 points. It was a minus 32. How is that an All-Star?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Participation.
Sorry, he hasn't played this year. I was looking at the prior year stats. 22 goals, 13 assists, 35 points, 58 games, -8.
Yeah.
That's no better. He had one 30-goal season it was 2015-16, and he's been below half a point a game the rest of his career. How's that guy a freaking all-star? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. It's stupid.
It needs some work. Give them. They're taking the year off. Yeah, that's my thing. Get away with the random people, not random players, but you don't have to do every team isn't going to have an all-star. The Sharks might with just Mac. I would say Mac and Celebrini. Outside of that, though, like some teams just don't really have an all-star, and that's okay. But yeah, we'll see what they do. Gary, I'm telling you, listen to us. We know what we're talking about. But another topic that was pretty crazy in the news the last week is the Utah Hockey Club. The Utah Hockey Club announced sometime last week that I don't know if they announced it, but someone reported that the Utah Hockey Club tried to trademark the name Yeti for the Utah Yeti as being one of the selections. That trademark got denied by the office due to the potential confusion, in air quotes for everyone listening, to the cooler brand Yeti. I get it to an extent, but I still think it's really stupid because there's plenty of other Kings. There's Kings, there's the Kings, Sacramento Kings, LA Kings, the New York Jets, the Winnipeg Jets. Like there's so many conflicting names that may be confusing.
They're in the same space too. Like
sports.
Yeti Coolers is not in the sports space. Like
no.
I don't get that at all. It also fantastic sponsorship, right?
Yeah, true.
Fantastic sponsorship idea. That'd look good on a jersey. I'm pretty sure the Yeti logo is just white, right? Yeah. You'd have the big Yeti crest right here, and then Yeti right here. Like that's a fantastic sponsorship option.
Yeah,
it could have worked out well for both teams. I don't know
what. Yeah, they rejected it. So the Utah Hockey Club then came out and said, "We have 3 names for you guys to pick on, you fans: the Utah Mammoth, keep the Utah Hockey Club, lame, or the Utah Wasatch, or however you pronounce it." Go ahead and explain to everyone what the Wasatch is. You had a better explanation than I did.
So the Wasatch is a mountain range in Utah that comes from like a native. I was reading about this. Comes from a Native American word. Well, it is a Native American word that means low valley and high mountains, or low place and high mountains, basically. Which I don't think that. Yeah, it's Salt Lake City, which makes a lot of sense for the city, but for a sports team name, that doesn't make any sense.
Just named after mountains. I don't know. I think the Avalanche have that secured. That's why I didn't want the Blizzard or anything like I feel like the Avalanche are kind of that thing. So anyways,
we have enough natural disaster.
Yeah, we got the hurricanes.
Teams.
We got
that's enough.
The
2
lightning,
is enough. Oh, 3, I guess.
And that's there's enough. Plenty in other sports too. The San Jose Earthquakes, lol.
Yeah,
soccer.
Still, there's enough.
Yeah, still, there's enough. But yeah, so the Mammoth Hockey Club or Wasatch were ones fans could vote on. I believe the first night that they tested this, because fans can only vote in the arena, which I like because you don't want people on the internet voting for something that's you got to be a fan. Yeah, I wish. But it seemed like the fans did not like the Wasatch idea, which was crazy because that was not even something they threw in the vote whenever they did it over the summer.
Never heard.
Yeah.
I just found out what that was. Not something I would have Googled 2 years ago.
Yeah. So it's just kind of crazy that they were just like, yep, we're going to throw this in there for you guys. And they're like, no, it's not any of the ones that we picked. Apparently, like Venom and some of the other ones I read were not also rejected from the trademark thing for whatever reason.
Venom is it's a mixed martial arts short brand.
Oh yeah, true.
Could have been the same issue. I have no idea. That's complete speculation, but
yeah,
that just came to mind.
Yeah, that's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
So all they had left to pick now is the Mammoth, the Hockey Club, and the Outlaws. So I'm curious, out of you, Alan, which of those three do you really want to see?
There is one in particular. So Mammoth reminds me of, I'm pretty sure there's a box lacrosse team in Canada. I could be completely off on this, but I'm pretty sure there's a box lacrosse team named the Mammoth. Not a big fan of that name in general. I think like team names, sports teams names that don't have an S at the end just kind of weird me out.
Yes.
I don't.
And that's
that
what I
might
thought about
be
the Yeti.
silly. Yeah. I
Which
think
I
it
guess,
should have been Yetis, if anything.
but is Yeti plural? No, I don't know.
You'll have to ask Bigfoot. I got no clue.
Sure.
But I'm not a big fan of those names that are
So the Avalanche you don't like?
The Avalanche can slide because they've been a team for my entire lifespan.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the name the Kraken. The
Fair.
Lightning's kind of the same thing with the Avs. The Wild's pretty much the same thing as the Avs. I just don't like new name. I don't like the idea of new names without an S on the end.
Yeah.
I think it sounds silly.
Yeah, I think it just always takes some getting used to.
Hockey club sounds like a soccer team name.
Yep.
Not even like a European football team name, like a American soccer team name. Not a fan of that. I think Outlaws has to be the way to go. I guess
go ahead.
It like kind of makes sense if you look back at like Utah's like early history.
Yeah.
But if you think about the state of Utah, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
No, because you can get jailed for selling liquor on a Sunday.
That's just what I think of. Outlaws doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I think it's the best sports team name.
These are the logos that got leaked. We'll show them right here.
The color scheme doesn't make any sense for Outlaws.
Yeah. So for Outlaws, the blue, I love the colors. The color schemes are, very reminiscent of a certain podcast network, but the color just does not, that light blue just does not fit with the Utah Outlaws. Now, one thing I just noticed on the Utah Hockey Club is that is a Yeti on that face.
Oh, interesting.
So my guess is
subtle shot.
That's what they had drawn up for the Utah Yeti, which I think is cool. It's definitely, I like that logo, but for Utah Hockey Club, and then they're just going to sneak in the Yeti in there, and maybe they can work something out in the future and be able to change their name. I don't know. It's just odd. The Mammoth. See, for me, I'm most intrigued by this Mammoth name. Again, I don't love the singular noun, but I mean, out of all those, I just don't feel like Outlaws really fit Utah's culture and vibe. And when I think of Utah, I think of like skiing and outdoors, not gunslinging cowboys who are riding, if it was in Montana, maybe.
I think the color scheme fits Utah.
Yes.
But it does not fit the Outlaws or the Outlaw logo. I think they should honestly have kept the Coyotes colorway. Because a lot of southern Utah it borders Arizona. It's like the exact same landscape.
Yeah.
So it's like I could see that fitting, and when I think of Outlaws, the Wild Wild West, I think of Nevada, I think of Arizona. Utah's right there. So it kind of makes sense, the Wild West. I guarantee there's some, ghost
Southern
towns
Utah is very
southern Utah.
Yeah, but it's not played in southern Utah. It's played in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, Salt Lake.
Like you guys are in the north.
Yeah,
you guys are pretty close to us. It's a 5-hour drive. I just don't. I really like that Utah this logo here.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it hilarious that they were just like, we're just gonna sneak the Yeti in there.
They're still salty. What's the owner guys? What's the owner's name? Why am I forgetting?
Ryan Smith.
Jazz. Ryan Smith. He's all Yeti coolers. I will never buy another Yeti cooler again.
Yeah. No, he just snuck it in there, which is I think hilarious and honestly kind of making me want to vote for the hockey club and just kind of have that Yeti and just like make all like hockey fans just know them as Utah Yeti. Yeah. And just basically gaslight the US government into letting them have that trademark for the Yeti. That's really what I want.
Jeez, gaslight the U.S. government and let them be the Yeti. That's awesome.
I mean, that's kind of what I want right now. So
That's awesome.
I'd be excited for that. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think out of those three is the best. I'm curious. There's really no other choices. They're not going to go back on it now. I don't know when we'll find out, but we'll let you know. We'll let you guys know when we find out. So yeah, we'll find out. But let's get into some trade talk because there's a good amount of trades this week, but three big ones, I would say. One being the Sharks in Dallas, one being New York Rangers and Vancouver Canucks, and one being Calgary and Philadelphia. So we're going to get into the Calgary run first and Philly. So Philadelphia Flyers acquire Andrei Kuzmenko and Jacob Pelletier, a 2025 second-round pick and a 2028 seventh-round pick. Calgary receives Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. So there's 3 first-round picks in this draft here, or this trade, sorry. Jacob Pelletier, he's pick number 26 in 2018 or 2017, I believe. Morgan Frost was pick 27 in 2017, and Joel Farabee pick 14 in 2018. Now, yes, they are first-round picks, but they have not lived up to that. It takes time, and I get it. They're still young. I mean, none of them are over the age of 25, these first-round picks. So they haven't really gotten a full season on their belt. Morgan Frost is probably the best one out of all those, 48 games played and 25 points this year. But it's not like anything crazy. What do you think of this trade?
This kind of just strikes me as like younger guys who aren't really blossoming as you'd expect them to, getting them to a change of scenery. I didn't realize Jacob Pelletier was already 23 years old.
Yeah.
The only guy who's really kind of broken out in the well, there's two. Joel Farabee's kind of broken out already, and Kuzmenko's already broken out. But like Farabee's not having a great year, neither is Kuzmenko. It just kind of strikes me as like a change of scenery for both guys in both trades.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a bad thing. I don't see the value back of the second round pick going to Philly.
Yeah.
I don't think Morgan Frost is much better than Kuzmenko. I don't think Farabee is much better than Kuzmenko. Like, I don't know.
A 2028 seventh round pick too is just
a whole lot
diabolical.
Of value.
It's just like
sweetening touch.
They just threw that in there. They're like, have you ever played franchise mode? And when you need the trade value just to be a little bit higher, you throw that 7. That's what that was right there.
You get the message back. You just need to sweeten it a touch.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Sweeten it a touch.
Yep.
That's the
all they need.
Watch the guy who gets picked in 2028 round 7 by would now be
Flyer.
Philly. Watch it be like some absolute superstar, like best goalie in the NHL for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Some
I'm
stupid
sure.
shit.
Yeah.
That'd be the most important piece of this trade.
Yeah. No, it would. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think, like you said, it's a very much of like, get these guys a new scenery, new coaching staff, new, just get out of what they've been doing. And I think, the Flames are in a tough spot. We'll have Gally on next week. He might be able to defend himself and the Flames for that one. But
yeah, it's an interesting trade.
Yeah, the Flames are just in a spot where it's weird because it's like, how do you rebuild? Do you just retool? They have a rock star, Dustin Wolf, in net, but it's also like long term, where's this team going? Are you just trying to win now? But like, why are you trying to win now? Because what are you going to do in the playoffs? Like, it's odd. But
does this trade push them over the edge to be an actual contender? No. Especially not sending back a guy like Kuzmenko, who's having a down year, but like he's got 135 points in 190 games played in the NHL, 65 goals. Like that's nothing to really like.
Yeah,
that's nothing to stop at.
The Flames lost 800. So the cap didn't really like change at all for either of these teams. So
Yeah.
they're still on here for, according to Puckpedia, the net the net draft pick value. Oh, that's that. Never mind. I thought that was the trade grade they gave them. But overall, I mean, I give both of these trades a B, just because it's like you kind of got to see where this goes. I think it's a good trade to just shake things up and just shake that 8-ball and hope for a good answer. But again, long term, we'll see what happens. But no one gained any cap or lost any cap, so it's like kind of one of those things where it's pretty fair. All right, on to the next. This one is a doozy. This is the New York Rangers and Vancouver Canucks. So the New York Rangers acquired JT Miller again, Jack Dorrington, and Eric Brandstrom. The Canucks got in return Philip Hedl, Victor Mancini, a 2025 first-round pick, top 13 protected. And yeah, that was the trade overall there. The Rangers lost about 3.5 mil in cap space, whereas the Canucks gained 3.5 mil in cap space, if I'm reading this correctly. It's a new website we're using. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, what are your initial thoughts when you saw this trade?
My initial thought was, what the fuck is Vancouver doing?
Yeah.
So obviously there was the whole locker room rift.
Yeah, which we still don't know the full extent of it. Like,
we don't know the full extent of it, and it centered around JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, right? From my understanding, after the trade, is there were a lot of guys in the Vancouver locker room that were pretty upset that JT Miller was the one to get traded. I forget where I read that. I read that on some tweet off some insight. It might have been Elliot Friedman or something like that. Why the hell are you trading away a guy who put up 103 points last season, right? For like a B or C tier young guy, right? Younger guy. He's not even young. He's 25, Philip Hedl.
Talk about Hedl, yeah.
A defenseman who I've never heard of this guy before. Who knows? He might be some top. I don't really pay attention to Vancouver's prospect system. He's 22 years old, Victor Mancini, and he's played 15 NHL games, right? At 22 years old, that's not fantastic. And a first-round pick.
He was also a fifth-round pick, Victor Mancini was.
After a few years, like the draft round doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about, he's played 15 NHL games. He's 22 years old, right? I don't know if he came out of college. I don't know anything about this guy. That's not like a great, like, if you're drafting a prospect, right? You want him to be an impact player in the first few years that you have him in your system. He's clearly not an impact player at this point in time because he's only played 15 games this season. That can't be enough, plus Philip Hedl, plus a first-round pick that you're not even – odds are you're not going to be in the top 15, right? Yeah. To take on JT Miller, or to get rid of JT Miller, who put up 103 points last year, right?
Yeah.
He's put up, we looked at this before. It was 103 points, 82 points last season, and 99 points the year before. Sorry, going back 3 years, whatever. That guy plus a 20-year-old defenseman, right? Not on contract, Jackson Dorrington. It was a 6th-round pick. That, to me, kind of cancels out Victor Mancini. Plus Eric Brandstrom, who's a 25-year-old defenseman who has 300 NHL games under his belt.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Vancouver? Like, you basically, you had to give up 2 roster players plus a prospect to get rid of JT Miller for a bag of pucks, effectively. I don't get that trade whatsoever. It's not like Philip Hedl's that much younger than JT Miller. He's 6 years younger, but he hasn't done shit in the NHL.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's not on, realistically speaking, not on that much cheaper of a contract. It's 3.5 mil for another 2 years, right?
Yeah. See, I think the one good thing about this is that first round pick they got out of it. But even then, I mean, I don't
Still.
think the Rangers are going to go down to pick 13, especially adding JT Miller. I think the Rangers are going to go get hot right now. They're going
I
to
think so too.
fire off.
Absolutely. The
Just-
Rangers, I'm a Rangers hater. I am not a big fan of Igor Shesterkin. I'm not a big fan of a lot of players on their team. They're still a great hockey team, right?
Yeah.
Them being this low in the standings this deep in the year is an anomaly.
Mhm.
Even if they say they suck the rest of the season, right? They
Yeah.
end up in a top 10 pick. So you don't get this first rounder this year. You get it next year. That pick is not going to be top 15 next year.
Yeah.
They're going to bounce back. I guarantee you they'll be back towards the top of the league next season if they don't end there this season. That pick is going to be probably close to a second rounder, right? Yeah. And you just got rid of a guy who's put up damn near 100 points 2 out of the last 3 years.
Yeah. And
what are you doing?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that they picked a side clearly. And again, we don't know what was going on in the locker room. We don't know exactly what that entails yet, but to give away a player like that is just crazy. And yeah, he's not having the greatest start to a season. Granted, he's 31, and it's not like he's going to be improving based off of last year, but still, if he can crack 80, 90 points this year, like, that's a great season. And, I think the Canucks are just kind of, I hate to say it, but they're just trying to figure it out because, like, they are just kind of all over the place right now. And that return is just not the greatest. And I think the Rangers got the best end of the deal out of this. And I think they're going to go on a heater. And also, JT Miller's on Team USA in 4 Nations.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Kachuk are going to be beating the shit out of Elias Pettersson when they play Sweden.
I just find it nuts. Like, you say he's not off to the greatest start this year, the greatest first half this year. He's put up 35 points in 40 games played, right? That's not fantastic. He could go on a 5-game heater and be back to above point a game.
Yeah.
And you just got rid of him for Philip Hedl, effectively, and a first-round pick that will probably be pretty close to a second-round pick.
Yeah.
That's nothing. When was the last time you saw a guy who put up 100 points in a season get traded for something that low of a return?
Yeah.
I don't think I have in my life.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
No, they were crazy. Yeah. This is definitely one of the craziest trades. Nothing like, I don't know if you follow basketball at all, but nothing like that Luka Doncic trade. That was, I don't even know where I was when I read that, but I thought whatever Twitter tweet I was reading, I thought was fake because
That's
I was like,
stupid trade.
Yeah. And I know this isn't a basketball podcast, but that trade is just nuts.
I saw that some guy, I think it was an Instagram post actually. They were like, put this in hockey terms, this trade.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
And the best comparison that I saw was Evgeny Malkin for Nathan McKinnon. And I'm like, that really puts it in perspective. I think Evgeny Malkin might be a little harsh on Anthony Davis, but still not really.
No, maybe not Malkin. I would say maybe. Ooh, that's tough. 31, because like Anthony Davis
he's only 31.
He's a good player. But Luka's like a franchise. It'd be like Connor McDavid, honestly. It's a franchise player in Luka Doncic, and you're getting back in return. Like, it's hard to say.
It's just a crazy.
That trade was crazy. Anyways, digress. So next one, back to the Sharks. We get to a little Shark talk at the end. It's towards the end of the episode, so we got a trade. This is still relevant though. We're not gonna be delusional about this. But Dallas and San Jose. Dallas receives Mikael Granlund and Cody Ceci. Sharks get back a 2025 first round pick and a 2025 fourth round pick. That condition is a conditional fourth round pick. The condition is that if Dallas makes a Stanley Cup final, that fourth round pick turns into a third round pick. Will that happen? I don't know. I don't care. This is going to be a late first round pick anyways, but with anything in a rebuild, I forget who I saw say this, but they were like, at the end of the day, during a rebuild, you can't get attached. And a player like Mikael Granlund is a fantastic player, but
Oh yeah.
we need to get rid of the top scoring player on our team for the next 2-3 years. Of course, outside of Macklin Celebrini and our young core, but anyone that's, can go help a team that's contending, go be a third, second line player where normally he's a first line center or first line player on our team. That's always going to be in our, a good thing in our hand. And that, who knows what GM Mike Greer is going to be doing with that first round pick. Because we've seen what he's done with past first round picks and who he's gotten out of that. And we could see another crazy trade, or maybe, trading up to another pick, take that first round pick and turn it into another top 10 pick. Who knows?
So it's kind of crazy. This trade, sorry to butt in. This is one of the best, like, how do I put this? Asset management trades I think I've ever seen. Because the Sharks acquired Granlund from the Penguins in the Erik Karlsson trade, right? He was effectively cap relief for the Sharks.
Mm-hmm.
He came back because he is on a big contract. And there needed to be some counteracting of the EK65 contract, even with half retained.
Yeah.
So he's making, his $5 million a year, right? And he's on the last year of his contract. We got 2 great seasons out of Mikael Granlund. He was I believe he was in the AHL when the Sharks acquired him. If I remember correctly.
I could look. Keep talking.
If I remember correctly, I think he was in the AHL. He was not designated to play on the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2023, 2024.
No, he was. Played
Was he?
21 games. Yeah.
Maybe I was wrong.
He actually came from Nashville 2023.
Yeah.
And then went to Pittsburgh. And then in the offseason got traded to the Sharks.
Oh, okay.
He already has a point with the start. He had a pretty sick assist in that game he played with them. But regardless, like you said, EK65, it's all coming back full circle.
To turn cap relief into a first and a fourth round pick.
Yeah.
And you get rid of Cody Ceci. You don't have to watch that guy play anymore. This is an overall win.
Yeah.
Heiskanen's out right now for the Stars.
Yeah. And
Sagan's out right now for the Stars. You just filled. Granlund is arguably a better player than Tyler Seguin at this point in his career.
Sagan's I don't know what's happened to him.
He had that guy's fall off is monumental, but
yeah.
The Stars win because they get at least a temporary replacement for CC and a replacement for Granlund because Sagan's going to be injured late into the playoffs, most likely.
Yeah. And it's a solid forward.
It's
a solid player that you can ask. Yeah. And it could be a rental. They might not re-sign him, but as a contending team, you kind of need to give away those first round picks and keep acquiring some firepower.
Granlund had a resurgence out of his career. He had, looking back, he had probably 2 of his best 4 seasons in the league on the Sharks statistically.
Yeah, that is true. Looking back on it. Yeah. He was on pace to definitely break what he did last year.
He's now going to be on a cup contender.
Yep.
And the Sharks get a first and a fourth round pick for a guy that was cap relief and a free agent signing. It's free picks. It's exactly what you want out of a rebuilding team. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's really all you can ask for.
That's one of the most everybody won that trade that I've ever seen. The players involved won the trade and both teams won the trade.
Yeah. And looking crazy. At it surface level, and I think, seeing fans' reaction, obviously you're never going to love losing a player that, he was on my Sharks calendar I got this year. He's in January, right? I loved him as a player, but in a rebuild, you truly can't get attached. There's 4 or 5 players you can get attached to as a Sharks fan, and even then, you never know. But not putting that out in the universe. But yeah, in a rebuild, we just really can't. You can't get attached to some of these players. I love Toffoli, what he's doing with the team, but in a couple of years, who knows what he's going to be.
Surprised if he's off the season by the end of the trade deadline.
I
Like,
see. The thing is, I think he's more of a mentor figure. And he did sign a longer term like what was it, 4 years or something like that?
4 years.
Yeah, and it's not like he's having a bad season, but I
No.
don't think he's Tyler Toffoli of what he was one day.
Yeah.
But I think if he's a mentor figure to these kids and can kind of relax, he's got his Stanley Cup. And he has a family too, so he's probably enjoying life. But yeah, we'll see what as these weeks go on. There's going to be more trades, I'm sure. And yeah, do you have anything else you can think of? Oh, we had that suspension we can talk about for really quick.
Oh yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it on the internet, surprised you haven't, but Ryan Hartman been suspended 10 games for roughing call against Tim Stützle. Essentially what happened was during the face-off, he grabbed Stützle's head and just shoved it into the ice like it was WWE or something.
Yep.
And I don't know what he was thinking on that, but he got suspended for 10 games, which is, I don't think I've seen long suspensions, but I think it looks very intentional. In most suspensions, it's kind of like, you just were out of position and had a weird fall. But this was had a little bit more intent behind it. So got the 10 gamer.
So the reason why he got the 10-game suspension is last year in a game against the Winnipeg Jets, he did almost an identical thing to oh gosh, what
repeat
was
offender.
the guy's name? I really should know this. Cole Perfetti. There we go. Yeah, so he high sticked Cole Perfetti during a face-off. And it was extremely blatant. Basically, he was down taking the face off, and Perfetti kind of got his stick up, and then he went poof straight into Perfetti's. It was like right in his eye, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Messed up his eye. That was last season in a game where they were down tremendously, right? And now you have another game again where the Senators were absolutely whooping the Wild. I think it was 3-0 or 4-0 at that point. They ended up losing 6-0. Not a close game.
Jeez. Yeah.
And he makes, frankly, what is a dirty play against a young, very talented player on the opposing team.
Yeah.
That's kind of nuts. I like Ryan Hartman as a player. He's fun to watch. But that's something that doesn't belong in the game. I think 10 games is harsh.
Yeah, but you kind of got to set a precedent like that if you're going to do something that drastic and
exactly
that aggressive too. Like it's just the intent. It's like McDavid when you're that aggressive with something. I mean, granted, McDavid only got 3 games, but just something.
You can't suspend him that long.
Yeah, I know. And also, I could go on a tangent about that. But thanks for listening, everyone. Next week is a fun episode. I promise that. Four Nations is starting up. So we've got an episode for you guys. We're going to have some other folks on. And we're going to be talking just the rosters, just all things Four Nations next week. It's going to be dropping on the Wednesday that Four Nations start for you guys listening. So you'll have that for the week. The following week after that, it's going to perfectly time up where we're going to record on Monday of the fall. So this is, here, let me get my calendar out for everyone listening. So the 12th, we're going to have the Four Nations episode. The 19th, following week, is the Four Nations. I think it's the final game is played that night. So we're going to have another episode that week about just the finals. We're going to know by the time we're recording, we're going to know who's playing in that tournament. So we'll have some banter and just kind of talk about, whether it's the past week, what we saw, what happened during the U.S. versus Canada game, all the drama, all the fun. So I'm excited for these next 2 weeks because it's all Four Nations. We could get a little break of the NHL, and it's all about that country. We get to root for players that we don't normally root for. Jack Eichel's going to be on our team. Plenty of players that we're going to be one with as Americans.
I hope all of Team USA succeeds except for Jack Eichel. Fuck that guy.
No, I like Jack Eichel.
Really. I have a Jack Eichel jersey.
Okay.
I love that guy. Yeah. But he's a Knight. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. As a Knight, hate him. But this week, Same with Austin Matthews. Normally, I don't like the guy because he's a Toronto Maple Leaf.
He's
But
nasty though.
he is, and I'll give him that. I'll give him his flowers. But I get to actually root for him now. When normally I don't. Just being frank. But I'm super excited. I know Alan, you are too. So I hope you guys listening at home are excited, and we'll have fun. But other than that, you guys have a great weekend, a great week, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.